once again. It's the Snarkist Hour. Glad to be back talking with Danny Carvalho, who thinks it's hilarious that I enjoy talking to him. I think a lot of people might also agree with me, just to tell you the truth.
Not a lot of people talk to me, do you know that?
Oh,
I don't think even my wife likes talking to me that much.
Really? Well, yeah. Well, I think that's just part of their job. Yeah,
her job.
Yeah, to not enjoy talking to a spouse. I think it's the wife's number one job. I know that. Tanya does very little to go out of the way.
Who is Tanya, by the way? People might not know.
Kenya's the person that runs my life. It seems. Danny and I have been together for
too long.
16 years at the thing. What year is this? 2020.
You two go back to the 1800s.
Yeah, it's pre-internet now, because the internet, as we've discussed previously, it's only been around for like 5 or 6 years or something like that. 7 years.
I don't think the internet has been around for just 5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 for me. Yes, I'm. Still, I think considered relatively new to YouTube. Like the season 2 or something like that of the Schmodown. That was the very first thing I ever watched on YouTube. So yeah.
And what is the Schmodown? You have to remember that this is a brand new audience. The
Schmodown is what brought us together. So I was looking just for, like, I used to on Spotify and stuff like that. Just listen to like trivia shows, just people doing trivia and stuff like that. Then I went. Someone said to me, "Well, you can look at this stuff on YouTube," and I thought that was strange. So I looked at it and I kept going around for trivia stuff. And then they settled on a movie trivia thing where people get championship belts and run promos against each other with their buddies and stuff like that. I said, okay, this is for me. Also, I know shit all about movie trivia, so it's fun for me.
I actually like that aspect of the product more than I'm not a movie trivia guy. Never been. I think that having a lot of knowledge to movie trivia is a little bit, I mean, depends on the trivia itself. A little bit pointless. I mean, it is a good conversation point in a bar, or even
for the big,
even during class.
For the big stuff, it is. There's a lot of minute details.
Because like my teachers, I did film school basically, right? For me, I couldn't go to what each degree you have. What does it mean? But at the end of the day, it's basically film school. And my teachers had a lot of good Easter egg or trivia-ish knowledge. And sometimes it made the classes more fun too. But what I like about that show that doesn't exist anymore, by the way, I mean, you can still find the archive on YouTube.
Everything exists in a way. Yeah. Even dinosaurs.
Anyway, I wanted to be more focused because I don't know. I want to go direct to the topic. We basically have just this to talk about. We plan to focus a little bit more on the movie itself, and then obviously you have to talk what's next,
right?
And maybe by my tone of voice, you can figure out that I'm a little bit pissed.
Oh. We'll find out. We'll find out. I don't know why you're so pissed. All right.
However, why do you think I am pissed?
Because it wasn't long enough, Danny. Because
the movie, Mandalorian Grogru, was what 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why you'd be so pissed, and I'm not quite
sure. I let me remember the runtime again.
It's probably about that. It's probably about Star Wars length. 2 hours. It wasn't overly I wasn't feeling
2 hours and 12.
Chicken away. There you go.
I remember there was a second too, but I never know if it does. I think that does count credits and everything, so a little bit more than 2 hours. So why do you think I'm pissed? And it's not the runtime.
I think you're pissed because there wasn't Thrawn in it. Is that going to be right?
Well,
I don't know. There's so
can't
many
blame a guy to try, right?
No, that's true. That's true.
No, there's nothing on this movie that makes me pissed.
Okay.
Nothing.
Is it that
really.
people aren't going to see it again and again? I
Discourse
guess
around the movie. On the
okay.
internet
You'll have to
is
fill me in on that because yeah, I haven't paid. I thought that people would generally like this movie.
I thought so too.
Ooh, all right.
And the fact that the title of this video, I mean, for people that are watching right now, is going to be because I do decide the title of the videos.
Sure.
Here, at least for now. I mean, you can also decide too, but
yeah, we're not gonna let AI do it.
No. For me, the title of this video and this episode is Star Wars Quiet Return. Quiet Return, emphasis or return.
Sure.
Amidst fans' delusions. That's the title of this.
Delusional fans. All right.
Delusional fans. Because I am experienced. I mean, there's a certain philosopher that says that history is cyclical.
Okay.
It either repeats itself either as a mistake or as a farce. But anyway,
get it.
Enough about that guy.
Star Wars Force.
All right. What did you think about the movie? Like, what was your experience? You enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it. It's a good movie. I think you did have to see at least a little bit of the TV series to get into it, which is fine. No one ever complains about you had to watch the other 6 Star Wars movies before you had to see The Force Awakens or anything like that. Like for a lot of people, it's probably their first Star Wars movie.
Actually, I would complain that J.J. Abrams should have watched the 6 first Star Wars movies before.
Well, I think he watched. You could also argue he watched them so much. He really tried to.
I think he only watched 3 of those 6. So
okay.
Actually, no, I think he really wanted to watch 2 of those 6.
Ooh. Well, yes, and you can't say the same about this one because I think there's a plenty for both the first gen and second gen Star Wars fans to like.
Wait, which is which? Which is the first generation?
The original trilogy.
I would say that we are in the 5th generation.
No, I'm saying for the people who were first generation fans, there's enough in there that they should like. There's second generation fans, the guys that grew up with the sequel or prequel series, is that what it's called? There's plenty of that available in this one too.
I would say, let's go back a little bit. I think you bring a good point.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, surprisingly.
I bring a fantastic point, don't I?
Surprisingly. All those geological eras that you're being alive does give you wisdom.
How
a little bit.
Dare you, sir? I'm only 28 years old.
You only went 28.
Mm-hmm.
You're more like 82.
Listen, I grew up in Canada. It gets cold and it turns your hair white like the snow, so you can blend it.
So you have snow in your hair.
How dare you?
Anyway. Now enough with tangency. I would argue that we have 5 generations of Star Wars fans. The people that grew up before or a little bit afterwards the original trilogy, that's you. The people that grew up a little bit before or during or after the prequels, I fall into this category. Then there are a generation that grew up after the prequels during Clone Wars. Is a more of a silent generation, but they do exist.
Like for the cartoon, like the TV shows,
Clone Wars, the TV show, right? The animated,
right? Because the movie didn't come out too long after.
No, the movie came out in 2008. It was so weird because you would watch that trailer like during the dark night. And not long after, I think in the same year, the series started, or like early. Like was leaving Brazil, so things would come out a little bit later. But I do think the movie and the series came out at the same year, or with like a little bit of a semester gap. Anyway,
Right.
then you have the fourth generation that was born or grew up in around the sequel trilogy. And that generation would have continued if it was not for the TV series that this movie is, basically a continuation or a spin-off of.
Sure.
Because if you think about it, people that were 7 years old when the first season of The Mandalorian came out, they are now
30.
13.
Close enough.
And I always think that the 12 between like 14, 15 age is the age where you become a Star Wars.
Okay.
So I think now we are in a generation that actually was kind of young when Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker came out. Like their introduction to Star Wars was this series and other TV shows, or like Bad Batch.
Right.
And to connect this conversation, I do think this movie was made for this fifth generation.
Oh yeah. Isn't it written or co-produced or whatever by the guy who did all those cartoon shows?
It's Dave Filoni. So Dave Filoni, yes, he did produce, wrote, and direct the Clone Wars, Rebels. Bad Batch is more of a supervisor by then. And now he's the president of Lucasfilm.
Sure.
And yes, he was one of the producers, and he was one of the co-creators of The Mandalorian. People sometimes give too much credit to Jon Favreau by creating this show. Of course, that was his original pitch. He's like the main guy, like overseeing the entire project, but he wasn't entirely alone. Like Mandalorian is basically he and Filoni's baby.
Yeah.
And I think this movie was made to try and look, and this is where the discourse around this movie started to piss me off. But I do think the objective of this movie is to try to please everyone in the most sometimes bland but sometimes casual way.
Sure.
To just be a cool, fun, no big stakes, no big expectations, no big promises, just an adventure that you can experience in a movie theater with a bunch of strangers and popcorn and soda and fries and pizza, referring to that in the movie theater too.
I'll never understand it in a million years how people eat a meal at a goddamn movie. Popcorn,
fries,
popcorn, maybe sometimes candy. All right, fine. If you're a candy person,
fries and pizza is not that bad. I mean, but then when you go to like rice, chicken, like then I think a little bit too much. But I have ate with fries and pizza here. And actually,
wait a minute. Hold on 1 second. Are you saying to me that pizza and fries is a thing in Brazil? Do you eat it like a side? Have a pizza with a side of fries?
Yeah, in America. I don't think
it's an American thing.
I don't know if it's an American thing. I only know that I start eating pizza and fries in a movie theater in America.
I thought it was like a meal. You can get like 2 slices of pizza or something like that and a side of fries.
But here's the point. Anyway, the point is, this is what the movie is proposing itself to be. It's trying to be as self-contained as possible, and then you could argue that maybe you should have watched the show. But I do think there is at least an effort to not be so dependable in the series.
Yeah. One thing I did appreciate, it's not like they went over the origin story again and again and again, just to hammer down the fact that, he found this child, or he was supposed to kill this child. He was supposed to bring it back to this evil guy. He didn't. They don't talk about any of that. They just pick up and start.
Yeah. And some people say, this movie doesn't really have an arc for the title characters. I mean, Grogu kind of has a little bit of an arc, but like you could argue that Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, doesn't.
Right.
Look, Favreau, he's a big proponent that what makes a good Star Wars content is not just to be referential to Star Wars itself, but to go back and see the references and the creative universe where George Lucas, when he was younger and creating Star Wars, pulled that from. So, and he brings that both like out of the movies and inside the movie, inside the TV show, by saying, look, George Lucas was inspired by samurai films from Kurosawa and westerns and
World War II,
Joseph
fighter
Campbell,
plane movies. Sure.
Joseph Campbell, blah blah blah. I mean, let's remember Mr. Lucas was still very much alive, and he's launching a museum this year.
Or is he computer animated?
He's not.
You don't know.
I really don't believe George Lucas is computer animated.
Maybe that was his biggest trick of all.
That could be.
Like all been building
he grew up in the 60s. Yeah. George Lucas grew up in the 60s. So that the what was proponent in the late 50s and in the 60s, that's where Jon Favreau wants to. That's where he pulls a lot from. It's not just Star Wars itself. Even though, like, you could argue, Mandalorian is basically Jon Favreau playing with Boba Fett toy.
Sure.
But he can use really Boba Fett for all he wanted to do, so he created a new character that just literally looked like Boba Fett.
And then they tried Boba Fett, and they made him look nothing like Boba Fett. But that wasn't him.
That's a conversation for another time.
Sure.
And look, a lot of those Western movies, the main character, the lone gun runner that goes to the town, and then there's the whole thing with the bandits and the indigenous people and blah blah blah. Sometimes he ends the movie the exact same way he started. So that's not something that bothers me. I don't think a movie is better or worse because it doesn't follow kind of a traditional main character protagonist arc, even though technically this movie has two protagonists. They're literally in the title of the movie. What I liked, what for me was a good surprise, was that I will never, ever think in my wildest headcanons and theories that somehow Stinky from the Clone Wars movie would be such a huge character in live action and played by Jeremy Allen White.
Stinky the
Jabba is Rat the Hutt.
When did they start speaking English, or was that a whole thing throughout like the cartoons and stuff like that they can all speak English like so well? That guy didn't even have an accent.
Yes, the Clone Wars introduced Jabba's uncle, which is Zero the Hutt.
Zero?
Which actually does a mimic of a very famous, like, either actor or character that I'm escaping. I'm not going to Google search right now. Or ask AI. But yeah, he speaks, like, perfect basic, which is English.
Okay.
Like, they are capable of, like, I think what is established in canon in the lore is that like their Hutts are able to speak basic. They a lot of times
choose not
to.
Yeah,
they think he's beneath them, which is very
speak their native tongue.
But I like that. Like I would never think that character on the worst Star Wars movies, because like look, the Clone Wars, the TV show, just got better and better. It's one of the best things they ever done. It's very important for the whole history of Star Wars. Obviously, it doesn't have the same reach as the movie. But the movie that started when George Lucas being kind of sick of everything, like just let's take the first 4 episodes and join it together and make a movie and market the TV show. That was not this best idea. So
Was that how it happened?
that's literally what George Lucas did.
Okay. I had no idea. I thought like they had an idea for a movie. They just wanted to do it on cartoons. They had an
No.
animation
He
department.
was already producing the TV show, and then he looked at the first 4 episodes. Clone Wars, for people that haven't watched Clone Wars usually is a little bit like anthology in a way that like is every 2 to 3 to 4 episodes they have an arc,
An arc,
and then you afterwards the next 4, 2, 3, or 4 is another arc. Sometimes an arc happens right after the previous arc. Sometimes you go back a little bit in time. Sometimes you go a little bit further. It's kind of over the place. Actually, there is a different, if you want to see everything chronological, because it's Star Wars and nothing seems to be made chronologically anymore in Star Wars. There's actually like a list of how everything fits. So like maybe you have to watch episode 1 of season 3 and then episode 7 of season 4 if you want to see everything chronological, but you don't have to. No, those arcs are very self-contained and very little relies on the other.
Okay.
And if you watch chronologically, like chronologically in terms of by the time they were released, usually they do only reference to an arc that happened before that already was aired. So it's not like season 3 episodes 11, 12, and 13 reference something that happened before you only see on season 4. So it's not that confusing. Anyway, yeah, that movie came like this. And it's kind of ironic that a lot of people claim, I mean, they exaggerate a claim. This was supposed to be season 4 of the Mandalorian show. This movie.
Okay.
I don't think that this is literally
no
the first 6 or the entire 8 episodes scripts combined.
No, I think there's been a lot of fat trimmed, hasn't there? If you're talking about an 8-episode arc of a television show and a 2-hour movie.
I mean, you could see how you could separate the chapters, because in the Mandalorian, like the episodes are called chapters.
Sure.
I could see this being easily a season 4 of the show, but I don't think it's that. I don't think it's the same thing as the Clone Wars. I just think it's kind of ironic that Harada the Hutt is a character in both movies. They're derived from a TV show that are supposed to be allegedly combined episodes. Even though the Clone Wars is literally just that. Like, it's unshamefully like that. It's not shameless completely. Like, George Lucas is not hiding. Like, no. Those are like just 4 episodes that we just joined together. This movie, I think it is a rewrite of a full season arc, but not literally 6 or 8 scripts glued together. Right. Even though if that is true, like I would love to read that script. If later we find out that no, this is actually they just took the pages and then just put on the same PDF file or something.
Right.
Anyway. One of the things that I like about this movie was right at the Hutt. Like it was a very good surprise. And come on now, Snark, think about it. You are 900,000 years old. When you're playing with your
that is incredible to say. What's going on here?
So you're playing with your Star Wars toys after you ran from the dinosaurs, in your house. So you got out of your house. There were some dinosaurs you had to run with.
Listen,
with your Star Wars.
We had a bunch of sticks and we tied them up in sinew. And guess, was there lightsabers? Yes, but we also had fire, which was pretty cool.
And all of your times as a kid, 900,000 years ago, playing with your Star Wars toys, did you ever imagine that Jabba would have a son?
No.
And even if he had a son, he actually would be very, very buffed, even though he's just
right. Yes.
And he's actually not an evil dude. He's actually just trying to not be like his daddy. He wants to be his own man.
Sure, he's his own man. Yeah, and he speaks perfect English.
And he's
Uh,
perfectly English.
yeah, like better
And he
than you
has
or I.
Jeremy Allen white eyes.
I didn't know that was who that
Yeah,
was.
okay.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, he just looked different. One thing I'm gonna say about this, the only thing that made me upset by this, because again, I liked it. I liked that he had two axes. It's fun. Like all this is fun. It's great. It just means what was Jabba doing? How did Jabba become the head of anything? This guy does nothing, and he gets strangled to death by Princess Leia in a bikini. What's he doing?
So your problem with this movie is something that has
No,
nothing to
I
do
have
with
no
this movie.
problem with him now at all. I think he's great, but Jabba the Hutt looks like a little wussy these days. Why was everybody so afraid of Jabba?
I mean, Jabba, remember in this movie, this makes very clear. Like, Jabba is very old by the time of Return of Jedi.
Oh,
You forget
he
that
could-
you see him on the Phantom Menace and it basically looks the same.
yeah. So he could have easily had just slipped in the tub, and that could have been the same way of him going out as Princess Leia strangling him.
Anyway, we're not here talking about Return of Jedi. Like, when I saw this movie,
Oh, right.
and I literally saw the day after you.
Yeah.
I thought, this is the kind of movie that Snark was looking for.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see.
Star Wars that you wanted to see.
It like for me, that's just a good Star Wars movie.
Interesting, because we're both more in the positive side compared to a lot of other people.
Right.
And we're gonna get to the delusional fans. Not delusional fan, like the delusion that fans are on.
Right.
Okay. I'm talking about. But one of the things that I find very interesting is that for me, this is technically the second best Disney Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Out of 6.
Right.
But it's not necessarily because this movie is great.
The Last Jedi, then this one. Okay, go on.
No.
Okay.
For me, it is almost by default Rogue One.
Yeah,
Rogue One is it's a very problematic movie. Like, the characters don't matter. They don't have any arc. Like, the one that you might have something like going on is obviously Andor. That's why they end up doing a show.
The television show also helps boost it a little bit, but just out of the theater experience, I really liked Rogue One.
And K2, you obviously get set on, he dies. But all the other characters, like especially Gene Erso, is like, okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they do the trick with the Vader hallway scene by the end to make you pumped. But
yeah, you were the big fan.
You were the big fan ending.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Grand Moff Tarkin. You weren't a big fan
of big fan. Just the guy that actually was playing him, like before they do the Rex or the corpse of even Cushing. No, it's not. Yeah, Cushing is the director of Peter Cushing.
Yeah, Peter Cushing.
Like, he looked just like Tarkin. Just let the guy do that. Like, the thing with Star Wars and no recasting drives me nuts. But anyway,
yes, 100% agree.
In this movie, and then I really don't care about the rest. Like, for me, Solo is a movie that I thought was incredibly unnecessary. I watched, I think, 2 times, and I still feel it's incredibly unnecessary. And the sequel trilogy ages like a milk. Obviously, Rise of Skywalker is in the very, very bottom. And maybe I put The Last Jedi a little bit up from Force Awakens, just to piss off people that really hate Last Jedi. But for me, they both suck.
Oh boy! All right.
I mean, okay, maybe what would bring Last Jedi a little bit higher than Force Awakens is that there is an attempt from a director that is more of an auteur that is trying to deconstruct Star Wars, even though he fails at that. I think that's the problem. The problem is that what he's trying to do is not it is not bad, but the outcome, I mean, people still talk about this goddamn movie. Snark is gonna be 10 years.
Yep.
Next year.
They're gonna talk about it forever.
Yeah.
Talk about in 10 years, they're gonna be talking about
by default,
how wrong they were about the Last Jedi.
I think this movie is the second best movie that Disney has ever done, but not because the bar is high. It's because the bar is so low that it is.
Yes.
But it has something that I think all these other movies, with the exception of Rogue One, don't have, is that replayability.
Okay.
This is a good point that Mandalorian Grogru has, that I think since Revenge of the Sith, we don't have that. And before Revenge of the Sith, since, I mean, you do like Phantom Menace, so you can put Phantom Menace there. But like, since the first Star Wars movie, we don't have that. Is that you can rewatch this movie plenty of times and have a good time.
Yeah.
Good sense of adventure. And this movie doesn't drag you, or is not like, makes you, think about all Star Wars as a whole a lot. And I think this is the third movie that Star Wars is able to accomplish that. Because like, if you watch The Force Awakens now, you're gonna know that Rey parent is like Palpatine clones.
Spoilers. Spoiler alert.
Last Jedi, like Kylo Ren.
Why don't you just go and spoil who Luke Skywalker's father is while you're ready?
They go watch Last Jedi, and then Kylo Ren says, "Your parents were nobodies," and then it's all a lie.
That was just better. It didn't have to be anybody, and that's why you'll always hate the Rise of Skywalker. So
like, those movies are very difficult to rewatch now. They age very poorly.
I've never rewatched it.
I don't mind Attack of the Clones, but I know a lot of people don't like Attack of the Clones. And Revenge of the Sith, it's like, come on, the second half of this movie is always gonna be fun. It's the most like violent Star Wars we ever had so far. Maybe not the most adult in terms, like Andor kind of makes everything a little bit more serious, but in terms of like violent Star Wars violence, so Revenge of the Sith is kind of fun because of that.
You just tune in to Attack of the Clones for the love story and how romantic and perfectly.
And Empire, even though it's the best one, and apparently it's gonna be the best one forever.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like,
you could say second best one.
I mean, yeah, you do love the original, but like, the consensus is that Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, and probably going to be the best Star Wars movie forever, right? We are almost 50 years that this franchise exists, and still nothing has really bit this movie. In terms of movies, we're not comparing Empire with the Andor series or Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
But Empire is like, it demands your attention. It's a slow movie, especially that second half, and you have to listen to Yoda saying, "Do or do not. There is no try."
Yeah.
And you have to see the subtlety of Vader talking to Palpatine about Anakin like he's not Anakin. Like, God damn, where's the excitement? This movie has excitement.
You have to watch a sister make out with her brother again.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that didn't enjoy with.
Yeah, nope.
But like, at the end of the day, I think The Mandalorian wins on this. It wins on the replayability. The fact that, like, it's not a movie that's gonna piss you off unless you're in a delusional state.
Yeah,
it's a better even viewer experience than the majority of some Mandalorian episodes. Let's be real, like, there are a lot of fat in terms of like unnecessary fillerish in Mandalorian season 1 and season 3. Season 2 is more tight, doesn't have as much, even though like second episode Grogu is literally eating the eggs, the last few eggs of a woman, and this is very weird. So fun is really a quality. Having a good time is really a quality. It's not just a word that you put because they don't have nothing good to say, like some people are claiming, that people are just calling this movie fun because they have nothing better to say about it. No, the movie is trying to be a good adventure, a quiet adventure in terms of like, it's not trying to create a new trilogy. He's not trying to fix or save Star Wars like people are
Right.
thinking this movie was about. He's not trying to change your view on politics, change your views on the force, change your views about good and evil. It doesn't have. It's a very dispretentious movie.
Right.
And sometimes Star Wars needs that. I rather have a movie that is more honest being like that.
Yeah.
Than a movie that tries to be beyond and fails. Like the entire sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy is just basically a reboot, a remake of the original trilogy done poorly. It's just a karaoke. A very, very, very karaoke. It's not even a cover song. Some cover songs are very good. It's sometimes even better than the original. This is like very late, everybody drunk.
Are you saying to me that Sheryl Crow's version of Sweet Child of Mine is better than Guns N' Roses? I'm here for it.
I said
There you go.
some cover. I mean, I've already listened to, but I can't replay in my head.
You don't remember the movie Big Daddy?
No.
The Adam Sandler movie? Oh my God. All right.
So like,
Continue on, sir.
No, like I think we can't. I was a little bit afraid he didn't like this movie, but we have kind of an agreement here.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, what do you want? You want some hand-to-hand fighting? For one, he stabs a stormtrooper with a knife, and it can get pretty violent. And then you want some spaceship fighting? You got it. You want a little Blade Runner with your Star Wars? Boom. There you go. Blade Runner right in the middle of this thing. Great.
And look, there's one of the things like Favreau is good at compared to other Star Wars directors. That he really George Lucas, people only focus on his two worst flaws. He doesn't really write dialogue in a natural sense. It's being sings forever.
You'd almost think it's AI writing it.
It's not AI.
Because he's mostly computerized.
And he's really, really not a good actor's director. But people forget that everything else is actually very good. And one of the biggest things they're like George Lucas is good at is pushing technology.
Uh-huh.
And Favreau is the only one that kind of has this, puts his feet on that area, like in this movie, not only you have good CGI, even though he has this kind of weird Rod of the Hutt, it has, very human looking eyes. Yes. Very, very uncanny valley. But you also have stop motion brought back to Star Wars. You have a little bit of more care on the art design, like it feels more Star Wars. There is connections with both the original trilogy aesthetic and the prequel aesthetic.
They used a lot more practical stuff, and then they integrated a lot of computer graphics shit.
There is a good equilibrium there. Like the music is amazing and tries to.
I wanted to talk about the music because it's fantastic. Like the most un-Star Wars music ever. Like we were talking about Blade Runner. As soon as they go into that and there's that techno a little bit going, I was like, this is awesome. I love this. I wait around to see who does the music afterwards. Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, the same guy from the series.
Yeah, but he also did like Sinners, which is great as
also
well.
Did, like Panther.
But the big thing is, because after I watched this, I had been doing a rewatch of a certain sitcom. And I'm now I've slugged through season 4. I got through season 5, which is great. I'm on season 6. Season 6 is different because on the Yahoo years, Community had like a thing where they did the scroll afterwards. And like one of the things it says, Ludwig Göransson. I look and I go, what? Now look, he did all 110 episodes. He's responsible for the music of that.
Oh, Community! I didn't know that, and I rewatched the entire series.
I didn't know. Well, I didn't know either, but I would never have thought. And if it wasn't for just the music at when it goes to that planet or whatever, and you got the chef with the forearms and stuff like that. Like you should be eating noodles at the time. Like, you should have had this thing of eating
And
noodles,
look,
just like Blade Runner.
this is not us talking shit to John Williams. Obviously,
No.
John Williams is one of the best composers, the best composer of our generation. You know,
I literally have the album behind me here.
however, John Williams very old and let's be
Yes.
real. Like, can you remember any beat of Rise of Skywalker?
None. I only saw it
Any
in the theater. I'll never remember.
like Last Jedi still have some good like hits there. Even like the end of Force Awakens is already very iconic. But like I was tired, man. I was tired of Star Wars music just being repeating John Williams.
I like that if when they bring it back, there's an echo of it. But
There's an echo, but
Yeah.
look, I like the experimental side of Star Wars. Like one of the things that made George Lucas be so fun to watch the Clone Wars is that he was at a point that he was not giving a shit. So he would do a 4-episode arc in the middle of nowhere of just droids, or there's basically barely any dialogue, and the only dialogue you get is from like a frog person of this size. Or you have like an entire episode dedicated to Jar Jar Binks. Like I like when Star Wars allows itself to be silly and weird and experimental. And
Yeah.
finally we're starting to get music that yes, doesn't sound like your conventional Star Wars, but it works. The electronic, the techno music that you get on this movie is like it's not Star Wars at all. Like my wife was saying that. Like she was like, that doesn't sound like Star Wars at all, but it's so good, so fun. It's so like itty. And look, the TV shows, like I remember there was a little bit of techno on the Boba Fett show. There was a little bit of rock on Ahsoka in the premiere of the first episode of Ahsoka. And I like that. Like, let's see where Star Wars can go to create different sounds, different music. Some might not work, some might work, but at least let's try to stop repeating John Williams all single time. You know, the best beats of Ahsoka, the TV show, is when it's not trying to imitate John Williams, it's trying to use it as a basis, but trying to come up with different.
Like you could almost argue he uses Enrico Morricone as much as he does John Williams, just with the whistle woo, or whatever, instead of the whistle from like a Good, Bad, and the Ugly and stuff like that. So yeah, he was told to make it sound like a Western in outer space. I think he does a damn good job.
So that's like we're almost 45 minutes. We're gonna take our break.
Yeah, we only got to the music.
But here's the thing: we're 45 minutes in, and we don't really have bad things to say about it. Is there problems with this? Well, yeah, you could argue that. Goddamn, why I remember her name on Aliens.
What, Ripley, like Sigourney Weaver?
So Sigourney Weaver, not much to do. I would agree with that. You could say that.
I don't know how much would you expect her to do. Like I think she shows up.
And once again, like delusional.
Yeah.
I could argue Zav doesn't have a lot to do.
She gets to fly in an X-wing. What else are we on for her?
Zav is there for you to at least see how much you can do with the CGI, with that type of character. Like also, nothing much that you can expect. Like the fact that this movie doesn't really have a big.
Zeb is the blue guy.
He's right from Rebels.
Like. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't such a big thing about that. I think they maybe if you were looking to trim some money, you could probably have done him, in a practically. And it would have been pretty much the same. But
a movie doesn't need to have like huge arcs and deep character like arcs to necessarily be good if it's not trying to do that. What makes Rogue One work is that Tony Gilroy, so that none of those characters matter, and made the movie be about the plot rather than be about the characters.
Yeah.
That's why Rogue One, even though it's deeply flawed, because there is an attempt of a character move in that movie, it still works because at the end of the day, you're only watch the movie to see how it happens, something that you already know that it happens. Because if you watch Star Wars, you know they already have the plans for the Death Star, so you know how that movie ends.
Yep.
You just don't know how they're gonna get there. And this movie kind of works in the same logic that this is to showcase the relationship between a found father and a found son amidst a very violent and dangerous adventure, and how it's important to have their relationship. It's very anti-Star Wars, actually, because Star Wars lived through conflict of family. And yes, there is a conflict of family in this movie between Rada and the Hutt twins. The core of this movie is the opposite of Star Wars. There is no conflict between Din Djarin and Grogu. What makes their relationship special and fun to watch is the fact that they are not a dysfunctional family.
Right. They get along.
And this is very opposite of Star Wars is, but also works. You don't need
one of them doesn't even speak
family drama.
Right.
And brings a very natural question to like, Din Djarin has to learn, the Mandalorian has to learn that Grogu is going to grow up, even though that's going to take forever.
Yeah, it could take 100 years, but
that's going to happen, and he's going to outgrow him, and he needs to allow, like any parent has to do with their kid at some point, independence. So that, and literally that's what happens. I really love that during this movie, you have a good 50 minutes, almost 20, like almost 10% of this movie becomes another movie and becomes a Grogu movie.
Right.
And I think if this were to happen in a goddamn television show, everybody would say that that episode was a filler episode. The Grogu episode, nobody liked. But in this movie, it works perfectly and shows that Star Wars don't need even dialogue sometimes, even though there is a little bit of dialogue in that segment, to work. Because Star Wars is also a very audio-visual media where the colors and the shapes and the sounds and the little dramatic movements, they're not even human. That's a goddamn puppet. It doesn't exist, Snark. Grogu doesn't exist. It's not a real thing.
Well, you'd have a hard time convincing my wife about that, I would say. That and the Babu Freak guys. She really likes those guys, too.
York's even better than goddamn Yoda. Yoda had Frank Oz voice. This goddamn thing going growls.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to say anything.
And that on itself, and the movie allowing to have that segment for him to not just him being like a cute little thing to sell toys, but having its moment, having its breathing time. That's something that the series really give Grogu that much, if you think about it. He was kind of a what's the name of the plot device? He was basically a plot device.
MacGuffin.
He was basically a MacGuffin the first season.
I knew it. I'm the new film guy, not you, mister.
But yeah, man, like I want to really talk about the delusional part, because we're just like giving praise to this movie. Obviously, it's far from perfect.
Yeah.
And I want to dive into the negativity. So take us out from this segment, Snark.
Yeah, to wrap it up. It's a fun movie. What do you want from this? Exactly. It's like, did you grow up with these characters? No. Did you like these characters on the TV show? Sure. You get to spend a couple extra hours with them on a bigger screen with better sound than you have at your house and more expensive popcorn. Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So there we are. Guys, just you wait. We're going to get to Danny's favorite part, where he gets to tell people they're a bunch of jerks. We'll be right back. We're back. A little more Star Wars talk here with Danny Downer. Danny's going to talk to me.
Downer? I'm not a downer.
About what's going wrong with Star Wars, or at least, no, not what's going wrong. What people are complaining about with Star Wars, at least for this week.
I mean, there are things going wrong with Star Wars.
I knew it.
If the discussion around this is happening, could argue there is something wrong with Star Wars.
Oh.
But look, So you really haven't watched or made contact in social media like about this the discourse around this movie.
No, I'm not really too sure what's going on with it.
Okay. So
Listen, there's only one person's point of view that I treasure. This guy. And I liked it. So everybody
look, that this movie does has a problem. Like it is not really making a lot of money. It has the worst opening 3 day weekend opening or 4 day weekend opening of all Star Wars, lower than Solo.
Okay.
And there are discussions around what necessary like an exact number that this movie has to hit in its run to break it even, and there is discussion might not reach that. It might be financially the lowest point of Star Wars.
Wow. Yeah, and what would they? I guess maybe building the props and stuff like that would cost them more nowadays than CGI.
Here's the thing, and this is a huge discussion: the cost of production. So everything from the writing phase, the pre-production, the shooting, and the post. This is very disclosed by studios.
Right.
So I think it's around like the 2, 3. I mean, you can look at it online. However, the cost of marketing that goes from social media, ads, trailers, press conference, the whole selling of the movie usually don't disclose that amount. Like if you think about it, like probably Avengers Doomsday entire cost were probably around $500 million.
Sure. Like 3/4 of that just in the
Very
actors' fees, for God's sakes.
Yeah. So it's a huge number.
Yeah.
It's always, I don't think it necessarily is like $500 million, like 500 million that this movie needs to do, but it's more than 300 or 400 for sure, I think. Anyway,
More than what we bring in here at Snark.
maybe this movie will break even in terms of production, but I don't think that this movie is gonna break even in terms of the entire cost. And here's the thing. As I keep reminding people, yes, I went to film school. My name is on IMDb. I'm not the most successful filmmaker of all time. I'm very aware of that. I wouldn't say
More successful than I can
Yes.
say that for sure.
But something that I'm proud of. I'm proud of having artistic side. Yes, I have a lot of unluck to make this of a career, but one of the good things of being an artist is that you die an artist. So I still have time. I mean, I would have had better chances perhaps if I was born in a place that wasn't Brazil, because Brazil doesn't have a movie industry. Anyway, it's not about my life. But I do have some knowledge of filmmaking.
Okay.
Even though very, very low budget. And obviously never had like not even $1 million to make a movie.
So no
But one of
computer
the things,
blue guy.
no. But one of the things that once you participate in the entertainment industry at some form, be it movies, TV shows, even marketing itself, or content creation for social media, digital marketing. I mean, anything that has to do with recording things, editing things, and obviously going to school, getting a degree on that, learning the theories, learning everything. You develop almost by osmosis a way to look at movies differently from what you do as a general artist. And if you're, I would argue, if you're a good filmmaker, you'd would wisely choose when to activate that side of your brain that is like inside the business, that is more analytical, looking at the movie as a filmmaker and looking at the movie as a general audience.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, and this is a sentiment that I know a lot of people have too, this whole philosophy, I'm going to review the movie, I'm going to analyze the movie by the movie itself. I'm not gonna talk about anything else. The movie is within a vacuum. I'm just gonna talk about story beats and cinematography and the script. Usually, most reviews they just stick to story and maybe a little bit on acting because that's like 80%. There's even studies on that. 80 to 85% of the general audience is only able to focus on those two aspects of filmmaking: story and script. That's in the case script, screenplay, screenwriting, and acting,
Okay.
which can be either live action or some combination of animation and voice acting.
Right. So they can concentrate on 95% of the movie. Go.
No, as you know, that's not 90% of the movie. How the camera works, the art direction, the music, the sound design. These are actually the things that make the movie.
Yep.
And look, this way of reviewing things is very, very limited. It's very superficial if the person that is doing it really doesn't know a lot. And what I see a lot is that most of the people that go to their route, they are cinephile. There are people that have watched a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, that they love the art itself. But that's now how movies are made. And as I get older, I think having a more profound discourse of the material conditions that this movie are made creates a way more fair and even argue realistic perception of what this movie actually is. And I'm going to all this, bar philosophy talk to say that I think this movie is getting unfair criticism. I think Jon Favreau and the Filoni especially are getting unfair criticism because people are very delusional what this movie was supposed to be.
Right.
You have to meet the art, any art, music, movies, TV, paintings, books, video games, where they're at, not what your own, abstract, unrealistic view that where they should be. Like there is like this platonic, like perfect movie, and we should judge all movies based on this platonic, perfect, like script, perfect way of a movie should be. That it's always going to fail. Unless you're really good, you really know your shit. That approach is going to fail.
Right.
And I do think we're living in the second or arguably even the third era of delusion towards Star Wars. What do I mean by this? I grew up with hearing people that are now your age, 9 million years old.
How dare you, sir?
Okay, a little bit younger, maybe 800,000 years.
That's, you get to a point, when you're just reach 800,000. If if you say 900,000, it's just the same thing.
Anyway, I grew up, and people of my age now, they are like in their early 30s, maybe mid 30s, or even a little bit younger, like late 20s, hearing from older people that the prequels were a disaster. That Jar Jar being sexually assaulted their childhood.
Jesus Christ. All right. I think maybe some people are a little over dramatic.
And the thesis was that the problem was George Lucas. If
you know what? I'm going to take that back because if Jar Jar Binks ever did something to somebody, I think that should be recognized. and I hope he meets justice, and I hope those people have
That did not happen.
with the community
They're
around them.
whining.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I was
And look,
worried.
the thesis was I removed George Lucas, and Star Wars is gonna be better because George Lucas is the weird guy that doesn't know how to write dialogues, the guy that doesn't have actors at all. All the acting of the prequels is very flat.
Mhm.
And he has these weird ideas that's just like over explain things and makes everything worse. Like, why the hell there is midichlorians now? These living beings, the living cells. That's why the first happens. What the hell? Why Anakin at 9 years old built C-3PO? That makes no sense. Blah 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 blah. And by the way, the only actual thing of the prequels that I really think it was a completely unnecessary was Anakin building C-3PO. But anyway. The thesis was remove George Lucas and everything's going to be good. We have an entire trilogy, Snark.
Yeah.
That proves this thesis wrong. There's empirical evidence that if you remove George Lucas and you make a new Star Wars trilogy that is a sequel to the best trilogy that is the original one, it's not good.
Yeah, it's a hard overcorrection, I think. Yeah. You grew up with the prequel stuff. I think it can be fair for you to be,
I
protected.
grew up, but it's not that I'm protected.
There's a lot that was crap about the
There is a lot that is crap, but here's the thing. As I grew up older, I realized, like, when you become more
I'll also
media
throw
literate,
I'll also throw Return of the Jedi in there too, because it's not great, guys.
as I grew up older, yes, I did realize the complaining. But here's the thing. That generation that claimed that the prequels ruined Star Wars for them. And it was the same generation that when the sequels were announced, they were the first one clapping.
Mhm.
They are not necessarily wrong on certain aspects of the criticism because they are pointing out certain flaws of ours that is George Lucas that he really has, and I don't think he's shot. George Lucas is a very blunt guy. He doesn't disagree with it. The problem is that because of preconceptions of what the prequel should be, because we were talking about fans that for a decade and a half 16 years between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
They already have made the prequels inside their head. They were not open for what
It's 100%. I can tell you this right now. 100% that's what happened. They had so long, like the first generation Star Wars fans had so long in between. They knew exactly what they want because they've done it a million times with their action figures and stuff growing up. They knew what they wanted, and what they got was
gets back
nowhere close
to the approach, the methodology talk that I was talking earlier. They're like, that you're gonna set up any media, any art form to fail if you go to this platonic route that you have the perfect, infinite money, no problems in production, best actors in the entire world, doing it for free.
Ooh.
Because that's how you make movies in your head.
Yeah,
you have infinite money, you have the best acting, the camera works, you have all the time in the world to make the movie.
I like how in your head one of the main things is just the camera works. Never it's
it doesn't work. Sometimes you take it 2 hours just to clean the lens, just to adjust the focus. That's how fucking movies are made.
Okay, all right.
Like, does the mic capture the thing, or do you have to do 300,000 takes just to get there? That's how things actually made.
Mm-hmm.
And that teases, like, it is so ironically, history is so ironic sometimes that what's the first line of The Force Awakens? This is gonna make things right. It made it worse. Those goddamn 3 movies made everything worse. Obviously, the problems of the prequels, we're being revisionist here. The the people are more open now to the prequels because my generation is now older. Your generation tends to die.
How dare you, sir?
But also we have the Clone Wars, and the Clone Wars does correct a lot of the problems of the prequel trilogy, especially like the you couldn't chime in all the very subtle and nuanced ways that Anakin falls to the dark side. You basically see the beginning when he kills the Tusken Raiders in Attack of the Clones, and the end when he's about to kill baby Jedi, basically.
Yeah, he's gonna kill hundreds of children.
There are 3 years in between that really explains why this happened.
Yeah.
They create a new character now that is one of the faces of the franchise, Ahsoka, that is basically there also to help explain this. You have multiple arcs that shows how complicated was the relationship between Padme and Anakin, even though they did love each other. Like, the problem is not that they didn't love each other. As some people claim, the people claiming that Anakin loved Padme too much, Padme not as much. No, they really love each other, but they had a very,
They steer away.
perfect.
They steer away from the that she met him when he was 9 quite a bit, though, don't they?
There is a little bit of this dynamic too, of him being a little bit. She was what, 14 in the Phenomenon or something like that?
I have no idea.
There's a little bit of age gap. Regardless, my generation, because they didn't have a preconceived notion of how Star Wars should be, they're more open-minded with the prequels. That's why the problems of the prequels becomes memes. I am the Senate. It's a meme. I hate Senate. From people complaining so much about the line, now it's a meme. Things become memes.
Yeah.
Because of memes. We laugh at it. We don't get mad about it. We don't get insulted about it.
My favorite meme is the one with Anakin and Padme when they're having their little picnicky thing or whatever. Yeah, that's fantastic.
The sequels, they piss you off. They piss you off. Snark, they told you they would continue to start from Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And it's not going to be those 3 amazing books that people always talk about and now that everybody has ever heard.
Yeah.
They all that is good.
I read them.
Trilogy.
I read them.
Which has it's weird stuff. Especially, and some things did not become canon. Like the Clone Wars, the way that Timothy Zahn wrote, like, he just invented something out of the bat. He had no idea what George meant by the Clone Wars.
All you have to know is, if you ever want to just think about how great those books are, just remember Chewbacca. Just remember Chewbacca.
And in those movies, not the trio that you bring back, they never on screen together. Han Solo, Leia, and Luke, never. You get Leia, you like Leia, and Han, you get Leia and Luke, and then you get, resurrected corpse of Carrie Fisher and someone.
You get Chewie in Han. That's the most important one.
And look, there is one validation of the thesis that I grew up with is that George Lucas was the emperor of Lucasfilm. Like, Lucasfilm, Skywalker Ranch, Skywalker Sound, Industrial Light and Magic. Like, the dude is the most profitable, expensive, independent production studio there is.
Sure.
George Lucas is the richest independent filmmaker,
right?
Especially by the time of the prequels. So
maybe as much because he was such a smart businessman as he was a filmmaker, that he knew that to get a piece of the merchandising that nobody ever cared about before.
And look, I agree with Ryan Airy of the Screen Crush that the prequels is about George Lucas' divorce. I agree that those movies is about.
You've told me about that before.
There's a compelling argument as to why, because if you see Anakin, you see Anakin in the prequels is basically George Lucas making a very hyperbolic version of himself post original trilogy, and you can see like he cares a lot more about his empire. George Lucas cares more about money, blah blah blah, and the things he has, blah blah blah. That's why this becomes Darth Vader. Anyway, and also George Lucas getting old. He's already like hell, 3 kids by that point. Then he sells to Disney out of spite. Come on, Disney got that goddamn companies and the IP itself for $4 billion. That's exchange money for what Star Wars is actually worth for.
Sure. But I don't think he was going to do anything else with it, really.
He was going to do the sequel trilogy.
You think
that's a fact. You can even see
it just would have been another 16 years after Revenge of the Sith. He started up again.
He was going to start up again because, like, after Return of Jedi, George Lucas did say that he was going to do 6 more, 3 before, 3 after. Mm-hmm. By the time of the prequels, that he started to change his tone and say that he was only going to make 6. But but the idea of him doing the sequels goes way back to the 80s.
And it all would have taken place in a courtroom. It would go from the Senate floor to the courtroom, because you're gonna have Judge Spider Dude, and that's gonna be one of the.
And what the Force Awakens is basically a very butcher version of that. Like, there was a character named Kira that became Rey. There's going to be Darth Vader again, children, plural,
right?
Kylo. Like, he was trying to redo a little bit of some stuff that was written in the expanded universe. I don't think he would do Mara Jade, though.
I heard that he didn't like that at all.
I mean, I think it's more of a meme because of a robot chicken that he actually maybe he would have. George is not. He doesn't hate the expanded universe. He just wouldn't let like other writers and people dictate what he would do. Why would he?
Right. It's his stuff.
A guy
wrote. Those are his toys. You have to play with it his way.
Like a guy wrote like a comic book in 2002. Like, why I'm going to create continuity on that? Nobody does that.
There was a
Tony Gilroy didn't do this. Goddamn, K2SO origin story was already written by time of season 2. He just completely said, "Fuck this! I'm going to do my own."
Yeah,
you don't know that?
Are they ever going to bring the rabbit guy from the comics to regular Star Wars?
I don't think so. And people use Kathleen Kennedy as the scapegoat, right? And look, did she made mistakes? Yeah, she made mistakes. I do think that she was very naive to think that she could bring the 3 most, top directors that are huge Star Wars fans, and that somehow you'd create an amazing trilogy. It's my belief now that she's not the president anymore, and she made some very slightly controversial interviews. I mean, she is retired, so she can say whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah, she doesn't do shit.
That I do believe that Kathleen Kennedy hoped that everybody that she would work with would be like Tony Gilroy. Tony Gilroy only got it in Star Wars because he's friends with Kathleen Kennedy. That's
okay.
And that's not what happened. Like, not only Bob Iger, which was president of Disney at the time, and J.J. Abrams basically backstabs George Lucas very quickly. George Lucas was supposed to be the creative consultant. He was not going to direct. He was not going to produce. He was not going to write. But at least he would have a voice.
Right.
That didn't happen very, very quick. And then we got the sequel trilogy. And Disney pressured Kathleen Kennedy, and sometimes I would believe that she herself pressured herself right afterwards. So that's why Rogue One, it was a course that needed to be saved. We don't know how much of that actual movie was directed by Gareth Edwards, the guy that's supposed to be the director, or is Tony Gilroy. They don't talk about it, and that's like huge evidence that a lot of that movie was reshot and reshaped and re-edited and re-rolled. That maybe this is just like the first version of the Justice League.
Better than the Justice League.
Better, but like in terms of like a butchered movie.
Yeah.
Some people call it artistic cuckoldery. That like the guy watching other people direct his own movie. Like we all know what happened with Solo. It was supposed to be the guys
Miller and
yeah.
Lord and Miller. Look how smart I am today. That's like 2 movie things I got right today.
Good. And then you have all the problems of those goddamn TV shows. The Obi-Wan's supposed to be a movie. You turn into a goddamn like TV show. I like Kenobi more than most people, but I will agree that wasn't the best choice. Book of Boba Fett's supposed to be Robert Rodriguez. Have fun with with the character. That's basically The Mandalorian season 2.5. Now, let's not get into what Rise of Skywalker was. And now we have all these stories that surfacing that we're supposed to have a Bane Solo movie, like goddamn Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver had a script that resurrected Kylo Ren and continued the Star Wars saga, and that was approved by goddamn Lucasfilm. They were ready to make them fuck movie, and then Bob Iger says, "I don't see a way that Kylo Ren is alive." Like, what's going on?
He's not Palpatine.
Hadley Graham promises Leslie Hammond 2 seasons of The Acolyte, and because of goddamn politics, and also because she shouldn't have written a goddamn show that entire season is dependent on the second season too.
It wasn't great.
Like you usually don't do that. Like Tony Gilroy.
The best thing I think that thing getting rid of the Acolyte does is maybe it sets the bar a little higher. It's like, do better than this. Like, you guys got to do better than this.
And they spent like $250 million somehow in that show.
I have no idea how streaming services make money.
And that's the point. Finally, now we get to the point of this. This movie exists.
Yeah.
And people forget about it. People in their, I'm going to analyze, I'm going to review this movie in a vacuum, I'm going to judge the movie by what it is, blah, blah, blah. Forget it. The only reason why Mandalorian Grogru exists is because Bob Iger comes back as the presidency of Disney after he was the president for a long time. That's when he bought Marvel, bought Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. Leaves. Bob Chapek, people call him Paycheck because he
was the guy who was like the amusement park guy.
Assumes the company. COVID hits, and he makes this mandate to both Marvel and Lucasfilm to just greenlight products now and let's put content. Let's fill Disney Plus with all these different shows and all the shitty things that we got from Star Wars and from Marvel comes because of this. And then 500 announcements of movies and TV shows that never happened. Where is the Rian Johnson trilogy? Where is the Taika Waititi?
Yeah, sure.
Where is the movies from the guys from Game of Thrones?
Where's our movie that we were supposed to do?
Where is the Rey Solo movie?
We're gonna know how a camera works, by gum, which is the most important part.
Where is the James Mangold Dawn of Jedi movie?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Sure.
Where is Blade? Where is Blade?
Yeah.
To talk a little bit more, where is Blade?
You know where Blade is?
Wasn't Kang supposed to be
his clothes are in Sinners?
Wasn't Kang supposed to be the main villain of this movie? Anyway, Bob Iger comes back. And see that Disney Plus is bleeding money. Of course it is. You're giving $250 million a season to make Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
Andor is never going to happen again.
No.
Andor is like $300 million.
Yeah.
Like let's put the record straight for people. Don't expect, especially like Marvel can get away with a lot of stuff. Like Daredevil doesn't cost as much, and it's a good show. But like Star Wars TV, live action TV Star Wars, I don't know how the hell they're going to do. It's too much money because to answer your question, how is stream service get money? Most of their revenue is subscriptions, ads, somewhat of
Yeah, I guess I got ads and stuff now, right?
yeah, that's it. Obviously, and then he comes back and he says, "Stop with this shit and go back to the movies and bring me back some money."
Yeah,
that's the reason why Mandalorian Grogru exists. Because Favreau, I like Favreau.
sure.
Favreau is mid-class dude who loves art, became his career as an actor, and climbed.
Everybody loves Rudy.
And he's and Favreau, better than most directors, is an amazing politician. And I say this in a good way.
Okay.
Because he knows how to play ball
money for
Hollywood. No. He knows how to play the game, the Hollywood game. He does. He jumpstarts the goddamn MCU that, even though it's shaky, still reigns.
Yeah.
The media right now still reigns.
Do you think that was the point of Iron Man, was starting up an entire universe?
No, it wasn't.
They just wanted to make a movie.
No, it wasn't the point. It was Favreau joining with Kevin Feige. At that point, Disney didn't want Marvel, by the way, when Iron Man was made. They get literally, they go to the bank and have some loan to make that movie.
Yeah.
But he did, and then not many years later, he does Iron Man 2. People don't like that movie. I mean, sometimes I don't understand why people hate Iron Man 2, but love Iron Man 3. For me, it's very weird. But anyway,
I don't get it.
He still plays ball, and not Favreau was supposed to be the director of the Avengers at some point. Like, people tend to forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he still plays ball. He still is Happy Hogan. Still allegedly helps with the production of certain of those movies. We saw him in Deadpool not that long ago. And then before this, the Spider-Man movie.
Right.
After Iron Man, he tries his independent moves and stuff. I haven't watched Chef. I really haven't watched some of his.
I haven't seen Chef, but I did see the Netflix show that he did, like the real life thing or whatever, because he enjoyed being it so much. He teams up with the actual chef and tries some stuff, and it's fantastic.
Then he does some Disney moves. Did the Lion King, in the Jungle Book. I watched the Jungle Book. I really like the Jungle Book. I never watched the Lion King.
I watched it when I was a kid, and there was a blue bear named Baloo.
And then sometimes he does this Hollywood like shit show, like Cowboys and Aliens, like what the fuck.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. There's reports in that one too.
Favreau plays ball, so like Bob Iger comes with a mandate. My stockholders want more money.
Yeah,
go stop doing fucking Acolyte. Cancel second season. Like, there is historical documents that Kathleen Kennedy, on her last few months as president of Lucasfilm, and Bob Iger were in a screaming match because of the cancellation of Acolyte season 2.
Really?
Yes.
I'm on his side.
Because the promise was 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And a lot will be resolved on the second season. And because of the discourse.
That's asking so much. That's asking so much.
Here's the thing, though. Tony Gilroy got a deal for 5 seasons. He then realized it would be impossible to do it. That's why he only became 2.
Yeah.
But originally on those contracts were 2 seasons. So Kathleen Kennedy wasn't wrong. If you promise your creator that you're giving them 2 seasons and they just finish and just selling the first one, and now they need to go to production to the second one, you let them do the second one. Yes, I do agree that Leslie Hanlon should not have done a lot of things in that first season. in a
make it.
those videos are probably unlisted now out of my request, but there is a place where we did discuss a lot about that show.
Yeah.
Obviously, but like Leslie had like she also gets like the scapegoating doesn't stop. Like, do you really think like I heard from good sources that the original idea of that show was very different. Like there was no twins, one good and one bad. It was not like this Disney.
It's so
shit.
stupid. Yeah.
And actually, the original pitch of the Acolyte was to be a Sarge Ventress show. Set on the Clone Wars because she was the Acolyte of Dooku. And that would be a good show too. Regardless, Kathleen Kennedy became the scapegoat. Even though in the grand scheme of things, yes, she's the president of Lucasfilm.
I don't know if she could be the scapegoat when she ran everything.
But at the end of the day, she's middle management. Compared to George Lucas, she's middle management. George Lucas literally, as long as there was money, and George Lucas is not a poor person.
No.
He could do literally anything, and nobody can say no to him. Not even the studios would distribute. I think like Fox didn't want to distribute the Clone Wars movie distributed by Warner Brothers. Did you know that? That the Clone Wars shitty movie we were talking earlier in the
right. Yeah. I remember that. Sure.
Yeah, well, it was distributed by Warner Brothers. Kathleen Kennedy don't have imperial god powers. Like her boss is Bob Iger. If Bob Iger says no, it's no. If Bob Iger says do this, you have to do this, or you're goddamn fired. It doesn't matter that her paycheck is 100 times higher than ours.
It's only 100 times. She might still be poor.
I heard it's like $40,000 a month or something.
$40,000
a month.
Yeah. A month.
Don't call me.
I don't think that's great. I think she's probably a little more.
Probably a little bit more. But also, like, it's not like, oh my god, they get them 1 million. Like they have like paycheck from Disney, like 1 million.
Sure.
Oh, there's commission bonuses, residuals.
I think you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. I think she did fine.
But like a lot of the problems of Star Wars doesn't came directly from Kathleen Kennedy, and there is mismanagement there. It came from Disney, and more specifically, came from Bob Iger.
Sure.
Even though you can make a case, not even Bob Iger has his own bosses, which is technically the stockholders.
The shareholders. Yeah.
But the shareholder, everybody can be a shareholder.
Everybody wants money.
Yeah, everybody. George Lucas is a shareholder. And has a lot of shares.
Yeah, he has a huge amount of shares. I remember that from that ridiculous little presentation they did when he signed the papers.
Yeah, so it wasn't fair. I think the fairness of the criticisms towards Kathleen Kennedy is more towards her naivety, thinking that I'm gonna hire J.J. Abrams because that's what the nerd people say. I'm gonna hire Rian Johnson. That more of an independent but getting traction, direct the best episodes of Breaking Bad, and then I'm going to hire.
Was it her that hired him, or was it? I thought it was more J.J. Abrams, because I thought they gave J.J. Abrams like the reins for this stuff.
No. The original deal was J.J., Ryan, and then Colin Trevorrow. Colin Trevorrow was in a rise because of Jurassic World, and not even rumors, but people say Colin Trevorrow is like goddamn annoying piece of shit. No one loved working with that dude. So when his next movie flopped, they basically like, thank God we can get rid of him.
Yeah.
And then that's why JJ is brought back again.
Sure.
And now we have Filoni and the other woman that I'm forgetting the name running Lucasfilm. Obviously, Mandalorian Grogru is not a Dave Filoni. It doesn't start with him. I don't even think the next Star Wars movie you're gonna get, Starfighter next year, is necessarily representative of what it's going to be Lucasfilm and Star Wars under Dave Filoni.
Right.
But the fact that people are inputting into Mandalorian Grogru the The idea that this was supposed to be Star Wars' big return. That this movie should have advanced the brand forward. That this movie should have been more bold in their decisions. The fact that they're inputting expectations on something that only exists because the CEO of the company that owns the IP mandated for them to stop bleeding money in their goddamn streaming service and go make money in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And the director, which is a huge, nice guy that is really a fan of Star Wars, way more fan of Star Wars than a bunch of other people that directed Star Wars in the last goddamn 10 years. Plays ball with the money, people. And this is the movie that we got. And it's still even better than all this other pretentious crap that we saw before. Like, yeah, I understand why some people hate and label Disney Star Wars, trying to revoke the memory of George Lucas. Because what happened to him was a jerk move. And the thesis that I grew up with is proved to fail. Star Wars is not better without George Lucas, it's worse. The only person that exists right now that can bridge Star Wars as it currently is to what the original vision is, his name is Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is George Lucas' basically fifth son. George Lucas would love adopting children.
Would you say he's an acolyte?
No, not an acolyte. Okay, but he's the only one. He's the only one that really worked with George for a long time to learn from him. Like that he was the one that's supposed to, like in a perfect multiverse, in the different timeline, he should have been the one that was president. Obviously, he wasn't prepared. He was just like a director of animation. We can argue that he's not the best live director. I would even argue that he has the same flaws as his mentor.
Sure.
Given. However, if there is one person that can maintain the vision and not let Star Wars be diluted by fan fiction, it's him.
Yeah.
Because Favreau does he shows and the movie like a kid plays with toys. This is so goddamn apparent. Like literally the middle of this movie is Mandalorian and Rada the Hutt fighting the monsters from the jar like table, right?
Okay.
Remember that in the middle of the movie, the monsters is the same from the jar table in the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah. Yep. It's like,
That's
okay.
The most...
You say that thing, I would have just said the chest thing.
The chest thing.
Yeah.
That's the most, like, let's be real, that's the most, like, toyish thing. Like, it's a guy, it's a grown man with a lot of money doing the exact same thing that he was doing when he was a kid. Yeah. And I appreciate that.
Sure.
I really do appreciate that. It's fun.
Yeah.
Because this is a problem that I'm seeing some more sophisticated criticism, is that expecting Star Wars to be Andor.
Yes. I think that is a whole thing now.
And I don't think Star Wars, and I think even Tony Gilroy would agree with me, that Star Wars shouldn't just be Andor.
Right.
I really loved Andor.
Yep.
I think the second season was one of the best things they ever done. I think that Star Wars, when it's culturally relevant, it's better. I think when Star Wars tries to say something about the real world, is better. The thing that Star Wars, when it goes beyond just being a fun adventure, works.
Mm-hmm.
I think Star Wars is so huge that it can have different tones.
Yes.
Not everything needs to be the same. And one of the things that makes me hopeful about the DCU is the fact that James Gunn says that there's not gonna be a house tile. Marvel got boring very fast, everything looking, feeling the same. I don't want Star Wars to be just like him.
No.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Star Wars should be different. It's literally galaxies and galaxies and galaxies and galaxies. So, yeah, I'm looking much more forward. Like you brought up earlier, like going back into like but he was going to do like the old Republic and stuff like that, which I have no idea about really. I was like, great, show that, perfect. If it has hints of spaceships, it has hints of lightsabers or something like that, great. That's it. What's going on in small cores. Yes, even with this or whatever being tied in still with the Skywalker saga and stuff is fine. Why not just have smaller things? I think smaller could be so much better with Star Wars.
And this was.
Yeah.
This movie was smaller. Like there are no lightsabers. There is no I have a bad feeling about
Not
this.
on one. Not on one.
Okay, there are X-wings.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes way more sense to have X-wings here and those goddamn six. Really, in 30 years they couldn't come up with a new design.
That one spaceship looked like a big fat Millennium Falcon.
The one from Ambo.
Yeah, I guess so. It just looks like a big.
Which, by the way, Ambo didn't do much, but very cool to see live action.
I didn't know who he was.
He was from the Clone Wars.
Yes.
It's good. He didn't need to. It doesn't bother you.
I like that he has some dog. I think he has some dog with him.
But did it bother you that he didn't have an arc, that he wasn't like a huge character, just like a bounty hunter that's there?
I had no idea who he was. I didn't care less. It was great. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, there was all that was fun. Yeah, the guy with the fish or whatever. I didn't really understand why we had to have that guy, but fine.
What, Martin Scorsese?
The guy with the fish on the bayou.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't understand why we had to have that, but it's fine.
So the first delusion was like, remove George Lucas, everything's gonna be amazing. Star Wars is gonna be perfect. It's wrong.
Right.
Oh, Kathleen Kennedy is the reason why everything sucks. Get rid of her. We got rid of her.
Yep.
Oh my god. The problem is that Dave Filoni wants to chime in all these animated cartoons characters inside the movie, even though that's literally not true. Jon Favreau was the one, actually. That surprised me because I really thought that putting Rada the Hutt in this movie was like a Filoni movie. No, it was goddamn Jon Favreau. Jon Favreau, of all people, wanted to do something with that baby from the Clone Wars.
Right.
So I'm seeing like the third version, which is kind of continuation of the second version of Delusion, that nothing. Snark, I'm almost 33 years old. And no matter who sits on that goddamn president of Lucasfilm chair, if there is a chair like this, I do believe there is a chair like this.
Okay.
President of Lucasfilm.
Oh. Like a throne.
They're never gonna be satisfied.
Do you think it's the same chair that the Emperor uses? You think they just brought it back? It could spin around.
That would be actually very cool.
Yeah, it'd be all right.
And sometimes I do believe that the lack of enthusiasm that surrounds Star Wars that might or might not influence the reason why this movie is not making a lot of money is because we got so intoxicated with superficial criticism. The problem is not being critical. I'm very critical of Star Wars. You know this.
Sure.
I have problems with basically like I can pinpoint a lot of things that I don't like about anything Star Wars, including the original trilogy.
The only thing you don't ever complain about.
Wow, that even fell.
Yeah, like all I was gonna say is about how much you enjoyed The Last Jedi and the Force itself. And said that is hot baloney and dropped your camera.
No, I don't enjoy The Last Jedi. But I don't like it. But I like saying that it's the best one compared to the other two, just to piss people that really hate The Last Jedi. Even though, this is very problematic. Very few things that save. But like the Legend I talk,
It
we
looks
can do
really
like a
nice.
little bit of a talk later, like maybe next year when it's anniversary, because I do think that's a lot of like people pinpoint the Last Jedi as the reason why Star Wars in this situation in the state, but I do think that's very unfair. Like all this shit happened because of the Force Awakens. Anyway,
Alright.
so this is the third. That's why I'm pissed. At the end of the day, that's why I'm pissed. I'm seeing very superficial criticism that is comparing this movie to what should have been.
Right.
And like at the end of the day, guys, yes, do I want more of my Star Wars? Do I want more meat? I want more philosophy. I want more nuance. I want the art form to be in shape. Yes, of course I want. I think all of us want. All of us enjoy Ender. Like only very few people very cynically criticize it. You know,
I
it's
can't
very
see how you can
difficult.
criticize it. I really don't. I think it's how it was done was just fantastic.
But here's the thing.
The only thing I ever criticized about that entire thing was Mon Mothma's dancing a little too long at the end of the second
But here's the
episode.
thing too, like we one day Tony Gilroy listens to this, he's probably gonna say, fuck you.
Gilroy, listen up.
He's gonna say, I made 26 hours of Star Wars. How much did you make? He's going to say that.
Way
I'm
more.
gonna say
if you're talking
Tony
about action
Gilroy
figures.
job was easier. Keywords easier. Not easy. I'm never gonna claim what he did was easy. Anybody can do it. No. He did better than anybody else.
Yeah.
In recent memory, in terms of writing for Star Wars. But it's easier to make what he did with Andor if you remove the goddamn laser sword and the magic.
Sure.
You can do your revolution history piece, your politics discussion, the rise of authoritarianism, and all these things if you remove the laser sword and the magic. Even though he did put the magic a little bit in there, because I think even he realized that he wouldn't put the Force at some point.
Yeah, you have to remind people.
Very cynical.
Yeah, this is the Star Wars universe.
Not only that, like Andor, like he's in those major events. Like there's a Destiny component. Tony Gilroy talks about that. Like he goes to Yavin before even Yavin was a thing. He's
like Forrest Gump. He's gumping it.
Yeah, it's like Forrest Gump, but you had to put the Force in there at some point. Thank God Tony Gilroy had this realization. But the matter of fact is, if you remove the goddamn lightsaber, remove the goddamn magic thingy, you can do your politics. Like Andor is the show. Let's be real. Andor is the show that is the most visually and even tone-wise close to real world, and sometimes that doesn't feel right.
No.
Sometimes they have too much to like. Star Wars always had a very fantastical element that really felt like this is really another galaxy, not just like a weird version of ours.
Star Wars had an aversion to killing off their characters, and Rogue One, obviously, and then the Andor series had no such aversion. They will kill off.
I mean, in perspective, I think Tony Gilroy actually. Most of them came out alive. Dadra came out alive. Biggs came out alive. The Mothma's cousin came out alive. We don't know what happened to the Clea, the one that worked with Luden and Rael came out alive.
Sure.
They are. When spoiler alert, Cassian has a kid. Like you can do whatever you want with these characters, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything with that.
But the point is, like, if you're going to criticize Star Wars, I'm all for it. I do think that art should be critical. It's part of the artistic process to receive feedback and improve.
Yeah.
But goddamn, meet the movie where it is, not where it should hypothetically be in a vacuum with perfect money, with no problems in productions, no CEO demanding that you should be a movie because the goddamn streaming services is bleeding money. Because it is, like Disney Plus at some point did surpass Netflix, now it's way down. analyze for what it is.
Yep.
Because then we are risking not having these characters anymore. By the way, there is huge talks that if this movie doesn't make money, there is no more Mandalorian season 4.
I don't care about a Mandalorian season 4 anymore. I like the fact that they can just go and do a movie like this. If they can figure out a way to do the same kind of thing without spending as much money to make it, I think they've got it.
It's almost impossible. Like this movie is so much less. Like this movie has a smaller scale than Solo, which is even very, very less. And it is how much it costs to look right, to not look like a goddamn fan film. That's how much it costs.
Yeah,
there is a threshold of technology improvement that yes does make things cheaper or easier, but at some point, like a movie has to look like a movie, cannot look just like a TV show. That even for low budget movies, that's the rule. TV, you can get away of a lot with TV. Sometimes you can't get away with that in a TV show. And yeah, there are even rumors that like maybe this is the last time we see the Mandalorians. They're like, maybe Pedro.
You don't think he shows up in anything, or they just going to drop a sync out there?
Pedro Pascal doesn't want to do it, which is like
he doesn't have to do it. That's the crazy thing.
Exactly baffles me. Like the guy is not even in it.
Nope. No, they have to create a whole thing to put his helmet on.
They put the name of the
two stunt guys. Yeah, the guy in the helmet and then the stunt guy.
Neither
of which were John Wayne's grandkid. And I thought it was John Wayne's grandkid. I thought it was the guy who was originally in the
movie. Like people, I mean, Dave Prowse did do some stupid shit, and he couldn't get banned from Star Wars. But he made Darth Vader. Like, yes, we think a lot about James Earl Jones' voice, and all right, yes.
Have you ever heard David Prose's voice in that? That's why
he is in there. My editing teacher, he loved this trivia. Like he's one of the characters in the Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, and the guy who's Chewbacca also talks and stuff like that, and you could hear him talk to Harrison Ford and Harrison Ford saying the stuff. Yeah, there's a reason why they chose this stuff.
The physical acting.
Yes, of course, it's important.
It was very important. Like it's like, oh my god, Pedro's gonna do it. Like he's barely in this movie. He had what 2-3 days of shooting the goddamn water scene with the giant snake and
snake
maybe 2-3 more days on the audio booth at most.
Yep.
And he's the god. And he's the god. Look, I do think that some people are getting a little bit of Pedro Pascal fatigue too. If you think about it, we had so much of this dude around.
Not me. I'm still a big.
I like Pedro, but like, let's be real.
You didn't have to worry about him too much longer in The Last of Us. Spoilers. You didn't have to worry about him too very long in Game of Thrones, fellas.
That is true. I met him in Narcos, by the way, way before.
Yes,
before Game of Thrones came out.
Love
he was in Narcos. He was great. He's a great actor.
Yep. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Anybody? Yeah. Season 4, episode 1.
And look, Star Wars revels in non-anthropomorphic. Sometimes not anthropomorphic, or sometimes not even recognizable facial features in their characters. Because I saw some people saying criticism, can you really have a protagonist that never takes his helmet off? Yeah.
Sure.
Darth Vader is one of the most iconic characters. You barely see his face.
Yep. Judge Dredd didn't.
I hope at least this story has some sort of. We have to wrap it up at some point.
Yeah. Star Wars?
No. Mandalorian. Star Wars never gonna get wrapped up.
Well, to wrap it up, I don't know if you like. I would say this: if you're a lady of a certain age, like the wife, you just don't get rid of Baby Yoda that fast. That thing is gonna stick around forever, and the Babu Frink guys.
At
Because
some
how
point,
excited she got
at
just
some
by seeing
point,
those things. Holy bananas!
obviously this episode is getting very long. That's a discussion for another time. But it's very obvious to me that the era of Baby Yoda gonna still exist, but at some point, it's not gonna be Baby Yoda. They're gonna
baby
They're
Groot
gonna
it and make him a
at
disaffected
some
teen.
point. I do think that like there is okay. Just to wrap it up, there is this discussion that now that Filoni has the realm, obviously he still has to, abide by Disney's will. But there is this talk. I don't know how much true it is. So take it as a grain of salt. That his biggest mission as president of Lucasfilm, as chief creative officer, is to restore the legacy of George Lucas. Okay. And that's a very Filoni-ish thing to say, right?
Yeah.
What do I believe does that mean? I do believe that Filoni, very educatedly, very politely, and very quietly, do not like the sequel trilogy. There is very little that you see him talking about those movies.
Something I've heard as well. I get what you're talking about.
You heard about that too.
That they're quietly erasing.
No, I don't think Filoni will ever erase because it will become so confusing, so confusing.
Yeah,
but they're going to do.
It would be like those novels that we all read in the 90s.
They're going to because here's the thing, and this is very inside business, like rumor stuff.
One thing I'm going to say is I heard something about the World Between Worlds doing something.
No. Like what?
Which I still have no idea what it does, except for Anakin Skywalker. So.
Ahsoka season 2 is supposed to come out this year.
Yeah,
he just wrapped it up filming, and for some reason they are being reshot again. And this happened literally days after the first big meeting of Filoni as President Lucasfilm and the new CEO of Disney. That is not about. I forgot the name of the new guy.
Sure.
And there are rumors that Filoni wants to use this time period of Ahsoka and Mandalorian, like 5 years after Return to Jedi. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me if I think it's gonna work.
Okay.
But he thinks that the biggest problem is that Star Wars is not focusing on its main characters. He wants to bring Luke, Leia, and Han back and do things.
So, are they willing to recast the roles?
That's where the discussion ends. I don't know if it's recasting. I don't know if it's deep fake. I don't know if it's AI. Don't ask me. But the idea is to, and once again, this is a rumor, to use the next shows and movies around this time period to recontextualize certain things from the sequel trilogy to then set it up the next trilogy. Which, what do I mean by this? That Luke had a kid.
And it's Baby Yoda.
He's not Baby Yoda.
Okay, we'll see.
That Rey is not going to be the next Skywalker. Rey is going to be the Obi-Wan figure. You bring back Grogu a little bit age up. So they're going to do Baby Groot-ish.
Yeah.
And you do...
It'll be smoking. That'll be awesome.
And they would do... Now, they didn't say the name, but they would do Mara Jade and Luke's son. So they are actually this Skywalker, not the goddamn girl that says that she's a Skywalker, even though she's...
Yeah. Do you think they get mad at her? It was like...
And not only that, and this is crazy. I don't think they are able to do. I think this really would make people go crazy. They are saying that he wants to bring back Anakin temporarily. That one of the biggest gripes of Filoni with the sequel trilogy is that we never ever got a scene with Mark Hamill or Carrie Fisher with the ghost of Anakin.
Don't you get one in Return of the Jedi?
Talking.
Oh.
And he thinks it's necessary to have that.
Why?
Because I do believe that he basically wants that there is a continuation, like the original idea that George Lucas had for the sequel. The sequel would be about the grandchildren of Anakin and the continuation and the legacy of the family. And it was supposed to be more than one. It was just supposed to be Ben
aside from Ben Solo, right? Okay.
That's why I do believe there is this whole thing about Abeloth. Abeloth in the EU is a character, is a villain that doesn't die. That she appears on the second season of Ahsoka, but she's set up as the next big bad for the next saga. She's the only villain.
Is that the mother thing or whatever?
The mother from Mortis.
How about that? I did it.
Yeah, you're on fire today. And that would be a way to, set up a good villain that doesn't, diminish Palpatine, also doesn't bring Palpatine back, that doesn't bring Darth Plagueis back.
We'll see.
Resolves that problem. Anyway, great talk. We actually did 2 hours. Basically 2 hours.
Yeah, so I remember about 2 hours ago thinking we should do maybe about an hour and a little bit. We basically hit it. The snarkest hour once again reaches much more than that. Hitting the twofer. It's a twofer episode of the snarkest hour.
But it's Star Wars, and we have a lot to say about Star Wars. I have a lot to say.
Literally, we
really
barely scratched surfaces. Not just on the Mandalorian Grogru movie, but just on the Star Wars stuff.
Look, we don't have more Star Wars this year anymore because of the changes.
We have a little more. A little more we'll be able to talk about.
So we're probably going to talk a little more about this movie, see how it does financially, and we're going to talk about Maul.
Yeah. I think it's no secret to you, not a huge cartoon fan of Star Wars or whatever, but I've watched a few episodes and I'll finish watching it. Promises for the next episode here of the Snarkest Hour. We'll talk about what's going on with a guy who was cut in half previously. I remember him basically 100% being cut in half and falling down a very large pipe or whatever it is, a shaft. Somehow, not only does Palpatine return, but we got Darth Maul.
I think Darth Maul return was way better.
Yeah. Well, I saw him in the Solo thing, and he had like the spider legs, and he doesn't have spider.
He doesn't have spider leg on Solo. He has
sucks.
No legs. I mean, he has robot legs.
Would have been pretty funny if he had the spider. If he was still a spider guy.
Anyway, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching Snarkest Hour for buckling in for a supersized episode of Snarkest Hour this week. Plenty to come here on the channel. Guys, there's a Ko-Fi starting up. We're going to be doing lots of stuff over on that. Stuff that, a little off brand for this thing, but I get to be hopefully a little bit weirder on the Ko-Fi, do some stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. Join us there. Join us next time. Like, subscribe. All those things that are so important for whatever reason. I still don't get it, but but at this point, I'm not going to get it. So you just go with the flow. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you again. Bye.